get it right. For God, not only will we stand accountable to the people of Princeville, but one of these old days we will stand before you and give an account as to how we handle this office.
Yes.
God, we're serious about the business in which you've entrusted to our care. Lead us and guide us. God, we thank you for everyone here. We thank you for everyone that desire to be here but can't for whatever reason. God, continue to bless them. And then, God, continue to bless us as we lead Princeville forward. This is our prayer in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Announcements are as follows. Public comments. The Board of Commissioners requests that everyone adhere to the following public comments guidelines using the sign-in sheet. Address comments to the board as a whole and not to individual members of the staff. Speak from the podium in a civil, non-argumentative, and respectful manner. Personal attacks and debating which have the potential to disrupt the meeting will not be tolerated, and you will be asked to leave to end your comments and or leave the meeting. Keeping comments to 2 minutes, and when you hear the buzzer, please end your comments. Your time has been exhausted. Answers to questions will be addressed within 10 days from office staff if not addressed during the meeting, given all contact information is accurate or on the sign-in sheet. Thank you for your cooperation. Emergency instructions. Please bring your attention to the exit locations in the event of an emergency, and we have to quickly move from this location. The 2 doors behind the board members to the left and right are outside exits into the parking lot near Dancy Street. The door to the right of the board exits into the hallway, where the kitchen is to be to the right, with an outside exit door to the parking lot near Dancy Street. Straight ahead is a break room that also has an outside exit door to the parking lot near Dancy. And if you go to the left and make an immediate right, there is an outside exit door to the back of this facility. Please follow the direction of the town manager or staff in the event of an emergency to increase everyone exiting safely. Thank you. Of course, we have Optimal Serve is no longer serving Heritage Park. However, they're still testing at Freedom Hill, Biden Walk-In Clinic. If citizens need testing kits, see the clerk before you leave. The next farmers market is October the 29th, 2022, from 10 until 2. And in addition to the farmers market, we have a Halloween trunk or treat for the kids. Please come out and support. We have a Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Freedom Hill on November 27th at 6 o'clock p.m. Our Christmas parade is December the 3rd at 1 o'clock p.m. Application deadline is November the 21st. Application deadline for Princeville Yard Decoration Contest is December the 2nd at noon. The Hill Family Farm Education Center and Interfaith Food Shuttle Mobile Market, November the 19th and December the 17th. One-stop voting, it's election time, of course, November the 8th, 2022. Notice of November the 8th, general election, one-stop voting, election hours, Thursday, October the 20th through November the 5th, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. All sites open Saturday, October the 29th and November the 5th from 8 a.m. until 3 o'clock p.m. Locations, Edgecombe County Administrative Building, Common Auditorium in Tarboro. Also the Rocky Mount Department of Social Services, 301 South Fairview Road, Rocky Mount. Additionally, Edgecombe County Memorial Library, Pine Tops Branch, 201 Southeast 1st Street. Any additional announcements? Hearing none, next item on the agenda, public comments. Any public comments?
First public comment is from Emma Wilkins.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emma Wilkins, and I live at 106 Dancer Street.
And my first comment is to ask the board, when are they going to pave Princeville and Church Street, which was in the process of being done, but haven't heard anything. My second question is why I go to the senior citizen across the street. When are we going to get a phone put over at the senior citizen? And my third question to the board is, can any of the senior citizens that attend the senior citizen rent the van, just the senior citizen now, if you're in the senior citizen, if we decide we want to go somewhere else besides what y'all suggest for us? Those are my three questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Wilkins. Any additional public comments?
The next public comment is from Miss Rita Dancy.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Rita Dancy, and I reside at 106 Dancy Street for a couple more days. But I just want to know, my concern is about these apartments over here, what's going to be done about those, and also the street, the Dancy Street and Dancy and Church Street, right there at the corner, is about to cave in. And also, they said that the elderly people, people in Princeville was going to get back what they lost from the flood. But that's not happening. They said that it's money. I was told by a couple of people said it's money here. But when family members call, it's a whole nother plan. So I just want to know what's going on with all that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, did I ask a defining question?
Sure.
Rita, you said that you was told some money is here, but when family members call, it's a whole totally different plan. What do you mean? I just want to clarify so we can. What do you mean?
It's another route you have to go, like for elderly people. I'm saying like they need things done, and they say that Princeville got a lot of money.
Okay.
But I want to know what's going on, where the money at, who's getting the money.
Oh, okay. So basically, there's some money here, and that when people call, are you saying they're not getting the answer that they're looking for? Okay. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Okay. Any additional?
Yes, sir.
It's not your time.
The last public comment is from Eddie Morgan.
Good evening, Commission, attendants of Princeville. My name is Edward Morgan. I am a contractor out of Williamston, originally out of New York. I've been living in North Carolina for about 11 years now. I've been doing contracting for about 20 years. If you look right down the road, that's one of my projects, 310 Main Street, right here on Main Street. I was invited by Mr. Milton Bullock. I have a portfolio, and he told me he was willing, or you guys were trying to rebuild Princeville up and could use all the help you can get. So I'm just here, willing to give a helping hand or whatever's needed. And I have cards I'll pass out after the meeting, and my portfolio, all my insurance, licenses is in order, up to date. And
talking about it.
I just welcome. I want to thank you guys for welcoming me.
Oh, we all.
Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. Anyone else, Ms.?
That's all for public comments.
Next item on the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mayor and
Yes.
Board of Commissioners, I do have a adjustment request. If it'd be so kind to consider adding under presentation, number 3, Kelsey Dew.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we add Kelsey Dew under presentation number 3. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Also, if you would consider adding I'm replacing number 4, Tobacco Trust Fund Grant with CDBGNR
And where is that located?
under Town Manager's Report number 4.
Okay, gonna replace Tobacco Trust Fund Grant with CBDGR,
CDBGNR.
CDBGNR.
That's correct.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we replace number 4 on the Town Manager Report from Tobacco Trust Fund Grant to CDBGNR. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any additional adjustments? I request the board add on the new business number 4, Pepsi Bottling Ventures and Mary Alice Holly. I sent that out earlier this afternoon. You may not have a chance to read through it, but it's an opportunity for a grant. Is there a motion?
Number what?
Number 4 on the new business.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we add on the new business number 4, Pepsi Bottling Ventures and Mary Alice Holly. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any additional adjustments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the necessary changes?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the agenda with the necessary changes. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We move to presentations. Colonel Bennett for the United States Army Corps of Engineers.
Is he here?
He's online.
Hello, all. My name is Coley Cordero. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We were having some concerns with Colonel Bennett. We're still in emergency response mode from Hurricane Ian. So I called in just in case Colonel Bennett got held up. He's been working in Florida, so we apologize, but I'm here and available to provide an update. Not knowing kind of what he typically presents to everyone, I'll just cover it all. First and foremost, my name is Coley Cordero, and I'm the new project manager with the Army Corps of Engineers. I did have the opportunity to speak with Dr. Knight this afternoon and communicating that my intent is to make sure that as we progress and move forward in this project, that we're continuing to communicate with Princeville, the town of Princeville, ensuring that there's transparency there, because I know at times things are moving fast and we have a lot of updates that are going on. So again, my intent as the project manager is to make sure we're in constant communication with the town of Princeville. Where we are now in this current phase of the study is we're doing some additional detailed hydrologic analysis. We were looking at some finalized design specifications of and making some recommendations. We also are looking at interior drainage and doing some analysis on interior drainage for current box culverts, and then doing some additional surveys and LIDAR confirmation. So LIDAR reviewing kind of everything across the board with regards to the levee alignment and some of the additional testing that needs to be completed. So I'm open and available for questions that you guys have. I'm happy to answer anything, but that's kind of the update status and where we are with the project.
My question is, what's the timeline for plows to be in the ground?
That is always a good question. We are moving as quickly as we possibly can in making sure that the analysis that's completed is done correctly. One of the most recent things that we're looking at is impacts, not just to Princeville, but also upstream and downstream. And the hydrologic analysis that's going along with that is, yes, of course, it's taking some time to get through that. I can't give you a hard date, but if I know that that's what you're looking for and the only thing that is of the main concern, I can work with Colonel Bennett and the team. We have a team of 40 folks that are working on this currently, and trying to get you an answer to that. Over.
My question is, can you tell me what different news you have that Colonel Bennett didn't provide to us the last time that he was here? Are you aware of the news that, or the update rather, that he provided us?
No, that's kind of what I was stating up front is I don't know the information that he provided you last time. So as the project manager and looking at everything that's going on with the engineering analysis, that's the update that I'm providing you right now. So I don't, there's not a whole lot additional information that I can provide at this point. What I can say is, as the project manager, just for your awareness, I'm not new to the town of Princeville and the Princeville Flood Risk Management Project. I came from the state of North Carolina and working with the governor's office and participating in Teams calls. So I've been tracking this on the state of North Carolina side and now moving to the Army Corps of Engineers side. We are moving as quickly as possible in making sure that we're running over everything with a fine tooth comb. And our next output is to have some information. But, again, we're just trying to make sure all the models are completed to the best of our ability before putting out any more information for the recommended plan. Over.
So I'm not trying to shoot the messenger, but I'm trying to.
Sure.
I'm just basically trying to see if there are any logics. I'm basically what you shared with us is very vague. To be honest, it's almost like a thumbprint of what Colonel Bennett shared with us the last time. That was not the best news. And I'm sure you can understand where we are and where our position is with this. A lot of frustration. I know personally myself as a citizen and as a commissioner even more so, because I have a ward of people that I need to answer to, a whole community of people, a municipality of people that we need to answer to. And it's kind of embarrassing, really, when you got to go back to them again and say that we got an update last night, but it was not necessarily any different than what Colonel Bennett shared with us. Where I know the mayor asked you for a timeline as in regard to shovels hitting the ground. How much more time do you think is needed to get some type answers so that it will not affect any other community and can prevent Princeville from being flooded to the capacity that has been the last two floods in my lifetime, or any of those things even in the view?
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize. I'm getting some communication in the background that I'm hearing, but I believe kind of the new piece of the puzzle that we've been working on is the AE firm, the architect engineering firm that was hired by the Army Corps of Engineers to complete some of the hydrologic analysis. They've completed their review, and we are currently reviewing that final document and making comments as an update.
Can you tell me what hydrologic is?
So it's the models that are kind of looking at the flow of the water as a storm hits, and it's models that are created to determine as you increase in rainfall and how that increases the flow of the water, not just in Princeville but downstream as well as upstream as we do modifications to impact. So like if you take out a bridge or if you put in a box culvert, how that can impact not just Princeville, but everything upstream as well as downstream. So that's kind of we're right in the middle of the firm that's doing that work and reviewing their final report.
How soon will the flooded final report be reviewed?
So once it's reviewed by the internal team, it goes to South Atlantic Division as well as headquarters with the Army Corps of Engineers. So I can't give you an exact date of when that report will become public. But I can give that information to Dr. Knight as follow-up as soon as I have that information. But what I'm hearing, kind of most important question here is, when is this project going to be shovel ready? And I understand that that's kind of the one thing that you guys were really looking for as an output. So as we work through checking the models and making sure that there's no impacts to Princeville or upstream or downstream, as soon as we have an update on the results of those models, we will provide that information back to Princeville.
Okay, and another concern is when I reviewed my notes earlier today, for every update, y'all telling us the same information but in a different order. We need more information. As my colleague stated, we're responsible to this entire municipality, and we should be in a position to tell them something different other than receiving the same information in each update in a different order.
And can I ask you another question, probably hypothetical? What was the pulse in your office when the hurricane was approaching a couple of weeks ago? Was Princeville even mentioned? Oh hell, it might be another flood in Princeville. What was the atmosphere there like? Because I'm just trying to wonder if the same atmosphere there is what we have here, and I'm sure it probably was not. But I'm just wondering, what is the atmosphere in the office?
Right. Well, emergency management is actually based out of Raleigh. So there's a lot of emergency management and emergency operations center with the state of North Carolina. I was not at the EOC. Colonel Bennett was, as well as several other emergency operations staff. So I can't speak directly to the communication or comments that were made in the emergency operations center. So I apologize for that. But I know that just coming from the state of North Carolina, that Princeville is always on the minds of everyone in the Emergency Operations Center. As soon as a rain event, we know a rain event's about to occur. So I can't speak to the comments or thoughts that were made in the Emergency Operations Center for Hurricane Ian that was coming.
And I apologize if it seemed that my frustration is being directed to you. Unfortunately, you are Colonel Bennett to us tonight.
I understand. I completely understand that, and I have seen and been in several public meetings with the town of Princeville before. So this isn't the first time, nor will it be the last time that I've heard and understood the reason for the concern. And I know that the hearts and minds that are going along with Princeville from the top of the state of North Carolina, the governor's office to the Army Corps of Engineers, there's a lot of people that are really wanting to do what's best for the town of Princeville. So I understand that I am at this point representing the Army Corps of Engineers, and just know that as the project manager, I will be doing everything I can to be as transparent as possible in providing communication back to the town of Princeville as we move forward.
Thank you.
May I make a comment, please? Commissioner Bullock of Ward 1. Not too long ago, we had a town manager by the name of Danny Gerald. He and I made a visit down to Wilmington and spoke to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they distinctly made it known that they would not turn on any engines or equipment unless the money is there. Not too long ago, Congressman Butterfield made a public announcement that's $40 million earmarked for this particular area. I have no idea if the money is there or have any of it been used to intervene, prolong, or prevent flooding in this area. This past threat, I guess I'll find out what the Army Corps of Engineers has done, if they did anything. And we shouldn't have to wait for the accident after the fact. Princeville has been flooding since the 1700s, this particular area here. And this board, moving forward from this meeting, you're going to have a different attitude of temperament coming from the board, the commissioners here. And we're not trying to procrastinate or irritate or agitate, but it's time. I'm the oldest one in the building here, maybe, and ain't got that much clock time left on my clock, so I got to see some stuff done, and so I'm going to be worrying you a little bit. This is Mrs. Cordora, right? The project manager?
Yes, my name is Dr. Cordera. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And we just want to let you know we're tired. We've been tired. But I'm just not trying to put nothing on your plate or put pressure on you, but it's more about who we are and where we are, why we have not received what we need. But we're going to change that. Or else I'm going to pack up and catch the wagon out of here. But my people don't need to be continually subjected to this situation. We are a reservoir, and something can be done. It's being done in else places throughout flood zones in America, and you just need to get ready because we're gonna get it together up down here. I thank you, ma'am.
Understood. And I did see a question about a report, and as soon as we have a report that is completed, we will provide that to the town of Princeville.
Thank you.
Dr. Cordero, and of course the frustrations comes from 22 years of waiting, something to be done. In 2016, the Army Corps of Engineers came before us with a plan that was complete. And we were told once the funding was there, the plows would be in the ground. The funding came through in 2020. And we're in 2022, we're still doing additional surveys. And I certainly understand we do not want to adversely impact any community. But something has to change between what we were told in 2016 and now we're still doing additional surveys. That does not make a lot of sense to me unless they did not know what they were talking about in 2016. And we won't go there because I understand you knew on the block. But in the back of my mind, every time you all come before us, what I'm thinking is, because some people believe that the best interest of Princeville is to move. And that is not going to happen.
That's right.
We have the state of North Carolina right now coming before our citizens, offer them money to move. And some people are taking that. And I believe that some people are waiting to see how many households are going to take that money and leave. And then you're going to decide, well, it's not enough homes to save Princeville, so Princeville needs to move. But again, make sure you let the people know the town of Princeville is where it is right now because of the blood, sweat, and tears of our forefathers. We can't move because it would not be Princeville. You can call it Princeville 2, Princeville 3, but this is Princeville, where we're standing right now. And you make sure that people understand that, how proud we are to be from Princeville, North Carolina. Some of us been all over the world, but we ended up back in Princeville because of our love for Princeville, and we will not be moved. Thank you so much. Any other questions for?
Yeah, who is it that we as a board need to talk to? And again, don't misunderstand me. I'm not throwing any daggers at you. Never talked to you before. I may have seen you in one of the meetings. I wouldn't know, but it sounds to me like it's time for us to move to another somebody. And all we need to know is who are those somebodies or who is that somebody. I would not want to think that Army Corps of Engineers is doing anything any different for other municipalities or other locations like places like New Orleans or wherever. I would not want to think that you guys, and I hate to include you in it, but you happen to be Army Corps, are doing any more for anybody else. And of course, we historically have been forgotten many times. So the only thing that we can base it on or historical data. And we are hoping that in this dispensation of life, that something would have changed by now, that we've made enough noise, that we've raised our hands high enough, that somebody say, let's get in there and do something. Let's get not something, but do what we need to do or do what we should have done. That's just where we are. And I can't really apologize for my passion here because it's real. When you apologize for something, that means you didn't mean it. It's really real, ma'am. And if there is somebody that we can talk to as a board, could you please forward that name to Dr. Knight so that we can try to make can reach out to them? Since it doesn't seem to be you guys' fault. I understand research. I understand you have to study to make sure that everybody is protected as much as possible. Understand that very well. But what I cannot understand is the length of time that it's taken to give us something different, a different report. Because what it sounds like to us, and I think I can speak for the board, it almost sounds like nothing has changed since the last time we had a report from Colonel Bennett. Now, that's what it sounds like to us. If you guys can give us a different story, a true story, then maybe we can feel something like something is trying to happen.
Sure. And may I ask who's speaking?
Yes, this is Commissioner Joyner, Ward 2.
Got it. Okay. I'm gonna write that down real quick.
Okay, thank you.
So, Commissioner Ward, what I'll just the best I can to answer your question of what has happened since the last time Colonel Bennett has spoken with this board. And sometimes I think we avoid going into the details because there's a lot of sausage making that goes on in the background. But we have what's called the Hydraulic Engineering Center. They have been, as a team of hydraulic engineers across the country, they are also a part of the modeling, mapping, and consequence part of our risk management center. These are folks that design and develop these models. And what we were seeing was potential impacts to structures and parcels, upstream and downstream, as we made what's called changes to the system. So if we, like I mentioned earlier, if we remove a bridge or if we add a box culvert here and there, we were looking at running models and trying to figure out what the impacts were. Once we started seeing impacts, that's when we brought in these nationwide engineers across the country to assist not just Wilmington District, but we also are involving SAD, which is the South Atlantic District and headquarters for the Army Corps of Engineers. So to answer your question, everyone from bottom to top is aware of some of the concerns that we have, and making sure that we have what was earlier stated as a survey. What I'd like to just clarify is a reviewing of the models to make sure that whatever the recommendation is when we go to construction, that it won't cause any additional unintended consequences.
We got that.
So we have, and myself included, have been tracking every day, several hours a day, making sure that the models that are reviewing this have the questions answered that they need in order to make a decision. So that's the best that I can do to reiterate that we are working diligently to get a final output, as in a final report, completed as quickly as possible.
And if there's nothing that can be done, we would like to know that.
Sure, I understand that.
It doesn't mean we're going anywhere, but at least we'll know when we go, we'll be going down with the town.
Right. So, Commissioner Ward, I'll communicate.
Joyner.
I'm sorry. Joyner.
Commissioner Joyner, Ward 2.
I'll communicate that your concern and the the best that I can do is update you for what the last time you spoke with Colonel Bennett to now and what we've been doing. But I'll also communicate this to Colonel Bennett, although he is very aware, as of a conversation even this morning, of him making sure he's firing off and sending emails to the top, making sure that they understand the urgency of this need to get a report out as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cordero. Any other questions from the board?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Is it possible for Colonel Bennett to include uh, the mayor or the town manager on the emails that you just stated are being sent to the top, so we can stay in the loop and not wait months for reports?
Absolutely, and I can take that on myself as also being, that's the intent of me being the new project manager and ensuring that there's more transparency, like I mentioned before, and ensuring that you are in the loop.
How soon can
Am
we start
I
there?
am I to make the assumption then that if I send an email to Dr. Knight, that Dr. Knight will share as much as that information, or is the
Yes.
intent for me to?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. If you send it to Dr. Knight, she will ensure that we get it.
Okay, sounds good, and I will do that.
What are you doing? You stay.
I will send Dr. as soon as when you requested the email that went to the top and requesting urgency, I will forward that information to Dr. Knight.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I did not receive the email personally, but I'll ask Colonel Bennett for it and make sure that that's forwarded along. But my intent is to make sure that the board stays more informed moving forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Dr. Cordero.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, we have Wooten and Associates, and they have much more good news than we received so far.
Hey, help me online.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor, commissioners, Dr. Knight, of course. My name is Derek Smith with the Wooten Company. Here to give a report on the 53-acre project and give you kind of an update of where we are. As Dr. Knight can hopefully attest, this has been this has been a high priority for me for, what are we going on, four years now, through thick or thin. Getting thicker as we go. So as everyone knows, with the updated funding that has been received, we were able to kind of look more broader to the 53 acres than what that first phase was. So what I wanted to do was to bring to you, and I'm hoping, did the clerk get my PDF earlier that we can pull up on the screen? So that
I did, but we're having technical difficulties with the screen. It's distorted, so I did print copies out for the board.
Okay, good enough. So what you've got in front of you is basically an updated version of the Stewart Master Plan that commissioners took a look at and approved in months past. What we have done, and with this broadened scope, is we have now been able to really take a harder look at what the stormwater effects are from the different zoning areas, and also been able to meet with DOT and look at, with the additional trip counts coming in and out of the property, what we would be looking at for those ingress egress areas on Shiloh Farm Road and Main Street. And with that, at their suggestion, I'll address the DOT things first. You'll notice that let's start down on Main Street. You'll see that we've moved the entrance to the property more towards the northwest portion coming off of Main Street. The reason for that is so that we were able to, because at DOT's request, with the full build out is what we're looking at. they would require a deceleration lane to be able to turn right into the property if you're coming north on Main Street, and a turn lane if you're coming south on Main Street. So by moving it,
I'm sorry. What are you looking at? One of the slides?
I don't know what was able. Were you able to print this?
No, they have the slides, the PowerPoint.
Well, we talking about Main Street 64.
What's going to be the best way for me to do this then?
Can we get copies of that now?
Let's pull it up on the screen. Let's take a look at that anyway.
It's distorted, but
Can we see anything at all?
let's see.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
That's good enough. That's good enough.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Clark.
That was me. I made a suggestion.
Well, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, if you can see so Main Street is at the very bottom of the page, and if you see where that, I'll call it mauve because I don't really know my pink colors, but we'll call it mauve anyway. Yes, sir. Thank you. So that is about where the entrance used to be, was right through the middle of that parcel. So by shifting that to the northwest boundary of the property, that allowed for us to put in the left turn lane coming into the property and the right deceleration lane coming into the property if you're going from south to north. Doesn't really change the configuration of the anticipated use of the land. What that does is makes it that we were able to confine all of that within DOT's right-of-way, and there was no requirement for any more purchase of property. Hopefully that makes sense. And that was our intent, was so that there wasn't a disruption to any of the adjacent landowners, at least as far as the access into the property goes. One thing it does do is, and the colorations are the same colorations as what you had seen previously. So that blue area is still considered municipal. That is, so where the fire station was shown to the left is now shown to the right of the street. That's really the major shift there. All of those mauve colored areas are, that's right.
Okay.
So the fire department would have been in the blue.
What's that, sir?
Fire department.
Correct.
It would have been in the blue.
Yes.
So where is it now?
It's still in that blue area.
Where was it before?
It was in a blue area, but on the opposite side of the street. Okay. So originally that street, if you can see where that long straight stretch is on that first road.
Here?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you can imagine that coming straight down to Main Street,
okay,
that was what it looked like before. And when you first came in, it was on the left-hand side.
Okay.
So the only thing we did was we put that sweep in the road and then moved it to the right-hand side.
Okay.
So still the same access, still has great access to be able to get into town, which was the ultimate goal. And again, the only reason for doing this is to get those deceleration, acceleration lanes to meet DOT's requirements. The rest of that corridor up through there, all of that, nothing really changes at that point. You still have that mauve colored that we talked about that is more office, commercial area. The different color yellows are different types of residential units, but still either single family home, townhome, something along those lines. Again, that blue area up to the northern portion before you get to Southern Terrace, which was always designated for public works. That none of that has changed. The brown area for apartments has stayed the same, and then the pink area is still what we would consider more of a true commercial area, maybe a heavier commercial area than what we had envisioned for the southern part of the property. And then in that meeting with DOT, we were able to address the Shiloh Farm entrance, which, as everybody knows, that's a fairly steep bank to access. And so what we were able to do there is almost mimic what we were trying to do at Main Street and have a right turn lane into the property if you're going from north to south, and a left turn lane as you're coming into the property if you were to come off of 64 and you were coming into the property that way. And DOT has no concerns with any of that. We've shown them the preliminary plans and the distances that we were looking at for those acceleration deceleration lanes, and right now everything has been verbally approved, so we're just giving them the final documents for them to give us the final okay on that. With these changes, we've also been able to take a look at, and along with the ultimate master plan from Stewart, with these little modifications that we've made from that sweep in the street, we've been able to make a better determination on stormwater conveyance, attenuation, storage, and discharge. And so right now we're confident in that our pond size will accommodate everything that we need to, that is currently in those colorations. A lot of it will depend on the ultimate amount of impervious area, because at this point we're really kind of guessing. I hate to say that, but it's at this point, and it's an educated guess, but it's still, we don't know if it's going to be a Sheetz that comes in, or if it's going to be a supermarket with, 200 parking spaces. So we're accommodating all of those colored areas as, almost 90% pervious, and we're allowing for that to drain to that pond. Now, depending on what happens in there, some of that green area, as you see in that, if you look at the northwestern area of the pond, you'll see a little thicker green area through there. And that was left intentionally so that, and with some pullouts from the asphalt, if you can see it the way I see it on here, you'll see like some driveway entrances that come out. And I'm more than happy to email this out to the board, or if Dr. Knight wants to, that's great. And so the intent of that is that if we can, then ultimately we might get some light commercial that goes kind of through that corridor. That would have kind of that pond as a backdrop behind it. It seemed like a good fit, and that's why we left that kind of thicker green area through there. The other green area that's shown below your, come down a little bit. That's right through there. The other green area that you were just pointing to, that has always been designated open space, and that's continued to be open space and can be used for whatever purpose the town wants. We can do basketball courts, we can do walking trails. We have always envisioned, walking trails around the pond. So there's a whole host of things that Kelsey can get approved.
Right there, sir. At that particular point, be aware that the town knows and is aware that North Carolina's legislators and DOT have negotiated. I don't know if it's in stone yet, but they're bringing in Amtrak from Durham to Wilmington, coming through Princeville. I think we need to do something similar to a museum in the history on that strip of green. So if you could put that as something to consider, we appreciate that, wouldn't we?
And that could be put in any of those areas, either in the municipal areas on the backside of where that blue area is for the fire station, because the fire station isn't going to incorporate that whole space that we're showing as blue. but that is an absolute, or in that that mauve area that's right there next to Main Street, somewhere through there, that which would be right across from the tracks.
Tracks. Yeah.
Right there in that corner is, I wasn't aware of that, but that's awesome. I mean, that could really help out that bottom corner for
Yes.
build out for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Questions? So to the commercial, we have this entrance here, correct? Is that an entrance?
Correct.
And this is what street?
That's Shiloh Farm.
Shiloh Farm Road. So there's an entrance from Shiloh.
Yep.
Okay. And then there's another entrance here.
We have an entrance to the bottom of Southern Terrace.
Okay, that's Southern Terrace.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the entrance onto Main Street.
Okay.
And so the whole idea of putting the public works in that top corner, one, it's very conducive for what we need to put in a pump station to serve gravity sewer to everybody, and then get everything to that point to be able to pump into the discharge to Tarboro. But it also gives very free access for them to, if something happens public works wise, they can get to Shiloh Farm Road, they can get to Main Street, they can get up Southern Terrace very readily. Same with the fire station. Fire stations sometimes are a point of contention just because of the sound. I grew up almost next door to one, so you become immune to it after a while. But so having that fire station lot down closer to Main Street just seemed to make more sense. Gives very easy access into town, and then of course the major commercial access coming off of Shiloh Farm Road, of course, with the on-ramp, off-ramps right there, to me seems to be the most conducive use. Now that may change as the project develops, and the town may see more opportunities in different directions, but it's it's a starting point.
And I'm thinking where a 64 is now, which is going to be changed to I-87.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
More traffic. So 64 now is where here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because that curved line that follows that green along the pond, that's the on-ramp to go west.
Okay. Told you we had some good news.
Yes, you do.
Questions?
Yes, the copy that you have of this right here, is it possible it can be left with Dr. Knight so we can get a copy of it, please?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Other questions?
Mayor, may I?
Sure.
So, Mr. Derrick, with the condemnation in the back of Southern Terrace, that will need to be complete before you get to that phase, long before you get to that phase. Is that accurate? For that Lick Street property?
Until we make that connection through it, yes. Yes, it'll have to be done prior to us being able to do any of the construction through that property. It really won't hold up any other part of the permitting for stormwater erosion control or the DOT accesses, because that's not a DOT road, that's a town-owned. So in that aspect, we're okay. But yes, it would need to take place.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And I will say, this is the first time I've been in your new town hall. It's very impressive.
Thank you so much. Don't let it be your last. Okay, Ms. Dew?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm really excited and nervous. I'm Kelsey Dew. I'm the Historical Outreach Coordinator for the town. And sometimes that falls into grant writing and working with the farmers market. So I'm going to give a couple of updates today. Over the last few months, we've been working on several different grant projects, and one of them was for general operating funds for the senior center. The Edgecombe County Charitable Foundation, which is a part of the North Carolina Community Charitable Foundation, has donated $1,000 in a grant to the senior center for general operating funds. So, yeah, exciting. And Miss Tate is going to be delegating those funds how is needed, and we're also still looking for future funding for the senior center as well. Yeah, now the big one. I'm so excited for this. So we have been working with the North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund for about 4 months now. They came out and did a site visit to the future Princeville Farmers Market back in July. And last week, they contacted us and let us know that the award for the grant that we wrote for the Princeville Farmers Market was awarded in the amount of $300,000. Yeah, that money will go directly towards the construction of the Princeville Farmers Market. And so that's where that funding will be allocated to. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And while we're talking about the farmers market, I want to just thank briefly our vendors and our visitors who have been out this year. This has been our first season. We still have 2 more coming up on October 29th and November 12th. And then we'll pick up next year, starting in April, hopefully. And finally, so we are now working on a new grant project through the North Carolina Rural Transformation Grant. This is with the NC Department of Commerce. That is a $950,000 grant, and it will go towards a project connecting the historic corridor to Heritage Park. So it'll be looking at Freedom Hill, adding historical signs there. The Abraham Wooten House, getting the surveys that we need and the stabilization work that we need on the preservation side to move forward for the renovation of that home. It'll also provide funds for the Princeville Museum because we need to pair the FEMA funding with that with other funds to meet the gap. And then it'll also provide funding for Heritage Park, which will be the farmers market, the walking trail, basketball courts, regrading of the football field, probably some lighting, things like that. And Wooten is working on that project with us. They have designed them and Oakley Collier Architects have done a site plan that we are following with this, and we'll be submitting that with this grant. So for the NC Rural Transformation Grant, the Board of Commissioners needs to pass a resolution supporting this project. And assuming that's what Miss Jessica is passing out right now. So if you could please take a look at that, read it, and vote how you would see fit, please.
And we have 2. Is it both of them or just one?
Yep. So you have 2 in front of you. One will be later. Dr. Knight will present during her town manager report.
Okay.
The one we're looking at right now is the NC Rural Transformation Grant.
Okay. Town of Princeville resolution, whereas the Board of Commissioners supports the grant submission to the North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Transformation Grant Fund Rural Engagement and Investment Program, and whereas the board fully supports the proposed project connecting the historic corridor to Heritage Park, these grant funds will result in landscaping upgrades at Freedom Hill, located on Mutual Boulevard, parcel number 4738-52-2155, and parcel number 4738-52-3198. Strategic planning for the rehabilitation of the Abraham Wooten House, located at 104 Shiloh Road, parcel number 4738-52-6333. Additional funding for the restoration of the Princeville Museum, located at 310 Mutual Boulevard, parcel number 4738-62-4016, and the continued development of the Heritage Park Master Plan, which includes the Princeville Farmers Market, a walking trail, basketball courts, and the grading of the football field, located at 425 Mutual Boulevard, parcel number 4738-83-1076, 428 Mutual Boulevard, parcel number 4738-83-0398, and 429 Mutual Boulevard, parcel number 4738-83-2049. And whereas the board endorses the former application in the category of economic development in the amount of $950,000 from the North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Transformation Grant Fund, Rural Engagement and Investment Program, And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners authorize a formal submission to the North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Transformation Grant Fund, Rural Engagement and Investment Program, in order to provide assistance to benefit the Connecting the Historic Corridor to Heritage Park project, which will align with rebuilding the town of Princeville bigger, better, and bolder. That this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption, adopted this 17th day of October 2022 in the town of Princeville, North Carolina. What's the pleasure of the board?
Amen.
Make a motion that it be accepted.
Been properly moved and second that we receive the town of Princeville resolution. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, in the Kelsey's report, we have the additional 300,000. The town gave 100,000. We had some additional funds for the farmers market as well, correct? So do we have enough to close the gap?
So Kelsey and I was able to meet with Wooten and Associates today, hoping that we can reconnect with OCA. So the grand total at this time, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, is $629,000. That being the obligated funds through ARP, the legislative appropriation funds of $229,000, and the tobacco trust award of $300,000, giving us that grand total. So we did have some discussions today of what next steps would need to look like. And so according to Wooten, they want to make sure they go back and revisit all of the permitting that needs to be done, and then loop OCA back in so that we can discuss the design and the pre-engineering of that project.
So, Dr. Knight, let me ask a question in regard to the fundings that we received, the grant that we received for the farmers market. Would that include the clearing of the land, the infrastructure, and everything?
So that'll include the construction and the grade, and all of that will lump up into the procuring of the project.
And Mayor, if you would allow me just to kind of address part of the question that Ms. Dancy had. A lot of times, and I'm not sure specifically what monies were someone said that the town had that we were kind of holding on to. If and I'm sure you probably understand grant monies. There are times that we get monies, just like the dollars and cents that you heard in here this evening, and those dollars and cents are for specific things. And if we took the monies that were given to us, grants that were given to us, and utilize it any way we want to, we will be in trouble. We wouldn't have to worry about the Army Corps engineer coming in fixing nothing. So a lot of times, and I appreciate you for coming tonight to get the answers for yourself, because sometimes when you hear things word of mouth, when you hear it from one person to the other, sometimes something very key has been left out, and you will never get the correct answer. So I do appreciate you, and I applaud you for showing up this evening to get the answers that you need for your question. Did that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of Ms. Dew? And I love the connection between the Wooten House, Heritage
Yes.
Park. At one time, we talked about connecting even with Shallow Landing. I know that's not a part of this, but keep looking. Mm-hmm. That would be great. I think that would be an attraction for tourists to come to town of Princeville, as well as the people that are living here now.
Absolutely. If it's out there, we will
I know you will.
Hats off to you, Ms. Dew, for your diligence and for your stick-to-ity to help us get these grants. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, department reports, finance report. Questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, we'll move to the budget amendment.
I'm sorry, man. I do
Okay.
I do have one question.
All right.
On the debit card usage, Walmart 10.5 and 10.5 lunch items for the senior center. What are those items? I'm thinking along the line that if they're having lunch at E.L. Robinson, What will lunch items be needed?
Mr.
So,
Jones, please
yeah.
get a little
So,
closer to your mic.
so,
I'm sorry.
Mhm. Yeah.
do
Did
you
y'all
want?
hear the question?
Okay, yeah. So, these are items when the seniors were out at community engaging and outings, and they
Okay.
missed the lunch at E.L.
Understood.
Robertson. So we
Understood.
provided lunch bags upon their arrival back to the senior center.
Understood. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Other questions? Okay. Next, you have a budget amendment. This is 2022-2023 budget amendment message. Below are the necessary amendments for 2022-2023, effective July the 1st, 2022. Employer contribution rates for the local government employees retirement system has increased from 8.95% to 12.10%. Currently, $22,120.61 is budgeted for retirement under administration. To capture the increase, it is proposed to move $5,000 from line item 51-100, salaries and benefits administration, to line item 51-300, retirement administration. This would bring the new budget amount to $27,120.61. Currently, $5,775.59 is budgeted for retirement under Public Works. To capture the increase, it is proposed to move $1,500 from line item 51-100, Salaries and Benefits Administration, to line item 51-300, Retirement Public Works. This would bring the new budget amount to $7,275.59. Currently, $15,950.54 is budgeted for line item 54202. Should that be 202 or 402?
It should be 402.
Okay, 52402. Make that correction, please. 52402 and 52405 listed below. It is being proposed to add the following dollar amounts to each line item to capture the increase in the town's property, liability, and vehicle insurance. That would bring the new budget amount to $18,587.40. 52402, insurance, property, and equipment, human services, $354. 52405, insurance, vehicle, human services, $115.38. 52402, insurance, property, and liability administration, $1,087.64. 52402, insurance, property, fire protection, $96. 52402, insurance, property, and equipment, public works, $470.46. 52405, insurance, vehicle, public works, $163.38. 52402, insurance, property, and liability, parks and recreation, $159. 54202, insurance, property, and liability, museum, $191. Currently, there is no line items on the budget for dues and subscription under the senior center. It is proposed to move $500 from line item 5100, salaries and benefits administration, to cover the monthly subscription for the fiscal year. Currently, $3,000 is budgeted for line item 53100, vehicle fuel and lubrication, human services. It is proposed to move $1,600 from line item 51100, salaries and benefits administration, to cover this line item for the remainder of the fiscal year. This would bring the new budgeted amount to $4,600. Currently, $2,493.72 is budgeted to line item 53,000. Supplies and materials, human services. It is proposed to move $3,100 from line item 51100, salaries and benefits administration, to cover this line item for the remainder of the fiscal year. This would bring the new budget amount to $5,593.72. An amendment proposed also includes revenue and expenditures for: 1, the North Carolina Community Foundation Incorporated, in the amount of $1,000. This grant is obligated to cover general operating funds for the Princeville Senior Center. The North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund Commission, in the amount of $300,000. This grant will be used for the Princeville's Farmers Market. The total amount proposed to be deducted from line item 5110, salaries and benefits, is $14,336.86. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we make the necessary budget amendment as well as include revenue and expenditures as read.
With necessary correction. That the mayor mentioned 52,202.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the budget amendment with the necessary correction. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is Public Works.
Mayor,
Yes.
might I, while we have Miss Phyllis Spragley on the line, our CPA through Wesley, if she could provide an update on where we are with our 2021 audit, that would be very considerate.
Hello, Ms. Spragley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mayor.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Knight, for this opportunity. We have provided the Anderson Smith ASW, the FY20 trial balance and fixed asset ledger, the balance sheet and the profit and loss statement for FY20 so that they can begin to do their testing, and we should have that completed. They probably will have that completed maybe in the next month or so, such that then once they give us the okay that the numbers are good, then we will prepare the financials for FY20, and we will be able to submit that to LGC for approval as well once they so that's where we are with FY20. And I think, as we said before, FY20 was going to move much quicker than FY19 did because we had so much clear up with those previous 8 years.
So we'll meet the deadline this time around.
We should meet the deadline.
Excellent.
For FY20. Yes, and I think FY21 is not due until maybe next year, is what Shannon was saying. Yes. So we should be able to meet our deadlines.
So this would take us off of that nasty list at LGC, correct?
We're working hard to make sure we get off that list.
Okay, very good. I got a call from our commissioner wondering why we were still up there, and I informed her that we are working diligently to make sure that happens. We've told her we just completed 18, working on 20 and 21 at this time. So we're trying to do what's right by the town of Princeville. Also, we're going to try to assist Edgecombe County get off that list as well.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
Other questions? Thank you so much, Ms. Brajan.
You're welcome.
Okay. Public Works? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Historic Outreach Coordinator, any additions, Ms. Deuce? And let me just say that, unfortunately, Dr. Crow Smith, I talked with him this week, and he had some issues come up, so we had to step away a little while. But did he contact you today?
Not today, but I've been in contact with him
Okay.
last week, and he is keeping us in the loop. But unfortunately, yes, he stepped back from that project. But since his best wishes and those things handled personally, get back to a point where he can help.
Let's hope so. Do we have a backup plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So Dr. Knight's been in contact with Professor at Duke University. We also have contacts at ECU that are willing to help, or we're getting the ball rolling.
Excellent. Other questions? There are only one applicant for the AmeriCorps, right? Okay. I think I might retire and apply.
You would be good.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for what you do, Ms. Duke. Next, we have the Senior Center. Questions, comments, concerns? And I just want to commend Ms. Tate for working with East Point to work with our citizens because of this mental health is critical. People are suffering, but they need to talk to somebody. And I think that's an avenue to relieve some of the stress that people are under, especially our senior citizens and our young people. I don't know how we're going to deal with our young people, but we have to find a way to address those young people. Questions, comments? Okay. The Sheriff's Department. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. And we have our new chief here tonight. Stand up and introduce yourself, sir. For those who may not know you. Yes, sir. We want to see you well.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maurice Knight. I'm current fire chief of Princeville Fire Department. First of all, let me say you can't replace Chief Antoine Brown. I have some hard shoes to fill, and I'll be the first to let you know that. But my goal is to continue what he has planned, what he has put before us as a department. But just let me give you a little background about myself. First of all, I was born right here in Tarboro. I went to school in Princeville. Grew up at what we call Freedom Hill back then. It was Freedom Hill Apartments before it became Ashbury Apartments. I have 22 years of fire service. I started in Tarboro, and I left Tarboro in 2005, where now I work in Wilson as a firefighter engineer. So basically, my job is to drive the fire truck and get my guys to and from the scene just as safely as I can. I have some knowledge, a lot of knowledge of fire service. I have an associate's degree in emergency management as well. So I am currently pursuing my bachelor's degree, and just looking forward to working with each and every one of you as much as I can. Right now, in the fire department is almost like 360 calls, which is one of the business department, if not the business department in the county. Um, but I'm going to close with this. If you guys need anything from me, if you guys have any issues for as my staff, for as my members, feel free to contact me. My cell phone number is 252-544-0619, or you can reach me by email at mauriceknight@princevillefire.com. And in closing, on this Thursday at 6 p.m., we're going to be having an open house fire convention. So if you guys not doing anything, bring the kids over. We're going to have a truck display, and we're going to have some things going on, some goodies to give out to them. And we're also going to have refreshments, hot dogs and drinks and things like that. So if you're not doing anything this Thursday at 6 p.m., it's normal our training night, but we're going to practice fire prevention for our kids over here in Princeville that's not going to be able to get it at the school. But again, if you feel free to call me, contact me, email, if you have any issues, if you have any questions or concerns, my phone is always on. Even if I'm at work, if I got time, I can answer my phone or leave a voicemail or text me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.
And that's Maurice Knight at Princeville.com? Princevillefire.com. Okay.
That's great.
Mayor Pro Tem, what kind of chief we got?
I must say, being that I'm on the inside part of the command staff, the transition has been smooth. The members have aligned themselves with his leadership, and we're looking for great things. We support him 100% in going forward.
Great.
Yes,
Excellent.
indeed. Also, Chief Knight also stresses training and education. And most people don't know that Princeville Fire Department are made up of paramedics, EMTs, and so forth and so on, that when there's what we call a Code 3 emergency call within our fire district, Princeville Fire Department responds. Each truck is equipped to handle any type of emergency situation.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. We're in good hands, Princeville.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a good man. I've known him probably all his life. I went to school with his mama. Did you know that? Went to school with his mama. Good people. Good people. Thank you so much for your service. Okay. Next, we have town manager report.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Commissioners. First item is the senior center. I want to address the question about the phone. So we did have Lumen technician to go over and assess the ability to install a landline, and they provided us a scope of work for an electrician. We have had an electrician to go over and assess the scope of work provided by the Lumen technician, and we're waiting for a quote from that electrician. We also have reached out to a second electrician so that we can compare the quotes and the scope of work so that we can get that landline installed. As far as the elevator is concerned, there was a default the last time that the inspector was on ground last week, or maybe a week. Was it last week, Miss Jessica? And so we had Lumen to come back out again, CenturyLink, in fact, to come back out, and this time to trust but verify by calling out on that line from the elevator onto Miss Tate's phone, onto our phone service here to confirm that that line was working. So now it's back in the hands of Bernie and Bernie to schedule that inspection for the elevator. Last but definitely not least, our construction administrator from OCA, Oakley Collier, is assessing a rail on the center railing of the senior center. And what he's assessing is whether or not that rail would violate the code. So he want to make sure that they remain code compliant with the structure of the senior center. So we should be hearing something back by the end of this month. And I will follow up with this board in November. Any questions about the senior center?
Is there a timeline for everything that can be complete, including the HVAC system?
So the HVAC system they've already gone over and did the work that needed to be done. That matter's been resolved.
Okay, great.
But no, as far as the inspection, phone line, it's just difficult to put a timeline on those projects.
Okay.
So, Dr. Knight, the default was with the phone line, not with the elevator itself.
That's correct. The
Okay.
elevator's fine. We just need these phone lines to confirm, get the inspector out on the ground. I think it would be very important to have everyone boots on the ground simultaneously, to include the Lumen technician, to include the Bernie contractor, so that if there's a matter that fails, then we'll have the expertise there to resolve that matter so that we can move this inspection forward.
Thank you.
Other questions on the senior center? Okay, Heritage Park.
Heritage Park, I think that we've already met the information necessary for Heritage Park by way of Kelsey's report with the transformation grant. As you can well see, it's been upgraded. We have additional playground equipment. We also have our fitness equipment installed, and we're working towards the walking trail, the basketball court, and the farmers market. I think we'll absolutely enhance that area, as well as the reseeding of the football field.
Are we up for rental already?
Excuse me?
Rental?
So we have a lot of items stored.
Okay.
So not at this time.
Okay.
But we have had many calls, so we're trying to work with Conservation Trust and trying to get those items installed in their proper locations.
Okay. Questions of Heritage Park? Museum?
Museum. So we're still waiting on an appeal outcome from FEMA with the museum to bridge the gap of about $800,000. And so that's the reason why Kelsey mentioned during her report with the transformation grant that was written into that grant to the tune of about $400,000, so that we can attempt to bridge that gap. And if we are approved, it probably will move a lot quicker than waiting on FEMA to give us the outcome of the FEMA appeal that we did by way of the town.
Okay. Questions?
Dr. Knight, can we back up a little bit to the senior center? I do have the senior center has been doing very well in regard to rental of the space for different events. I guess when I start thinking about the a lot of renting that is being happened, I start thinking in terms of wear and tear.
Mm-hmm.
We want to preserve that senior center so that it can be very much useful for our seniors. And I would just had a thought come to mind one day, and just to maybe it would be great if we could start looking for another location or something that we might be able to utilize or purchase or something, so that we won't wear the senior center out by people renting it so often, because we certainly want that to last for the lifetime of our senior citizens and the use of them.
So there has been some discussion, Commissioner, in alternative locations right in the community, and there's still some work in progress behind the scenes, and I'll make sure as soon as there's a contact with our source, then I'll follow up with you all about some options and proposals that you all can consider.
Thank you.
Other questions on the museum? Okay.
And so now we're at the Community Development Block Grant Neighborhood Revitalization program. And we do have Mr. Terrence here from Upper Coastal Plains, and I'll yield to Mr. Terrence to kind of give us an update on the replacement housing grant opportunity through the town of Princeville. They've been so kind and cooperative to provide us technical and admin assistance, and so we really value the partnership.
I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak, Dr. Knight, board. So pretty much we've been provided a round two of funding for the CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization Grant. That submission date will be for November the 1st. And the way we're looking to utilize those monies is to provide replacement housing for owner-occupied low to moderate income units within the town. Where we are in that process currently is we are looking to identify those eligible units throughout the town, and they'll go before the housing selection committee, which needs to be formed, and that committee will then make a final determination on which homes will be considered for that grant. We'll have an inspector come to assess the need for those units, and then we'll put that final application together. Right now, there is a $5 million cap on on a single application. That's an upgrade from the $950,000 that they allowed in round one. We don't anticipate applying for $5 million, of course, but it does allow us to assist more homes than we would have with that $950,000. So with that, if you have any questions on the process, on timeline, or any of that, I can answer those.
And that's the key, the timeline. Where are we? November 1st is the submission date.
Right. So I do want to make a point that this round two was open. What was Monday, the 10th? It was open on the 10th. Yeah. So we had about a 2.5 week application window. I'll say right now we are on schedule. Again, this week will be important in that process. Setting up the housing selection committee. I think you have some action items to approve tonight, and then getting the housing inspector up here to assess the conditions of the potential candidates for inclusion in the grant. So if we can get those three actions done this week, we should have enough to submit a full application by November 1st.
Okay. Questions?
I do have a question. I had some citizens who have had an interest in the house replacement, and if I understand correctly, mobile home units are included in that, or are they?
When you say included, do you mean
it could be included as far as replacement?
Existing mobile home units.
I'm sorry.
Existing mobile home units.
Yes.
Yes.
So then, are there any way around or any guidelines in regard to mobile home units that are not, the property does not belong to the homeowner?
See, okay, that is a tricky situation, and that before a permanent structure can be placed on the lot, that homeowner would need to acquire that piece of land first. So if it's kind of hard to gauge it because this timeline is moving quicker than what a normal neighborhood revitalization timeline would move. So in between the application and when the money is available and released to the town, if in that window the resident can obtain the land as well, then we can make that work. If they don't have any, if there's no plan to obtain the land, then we won't be able to put a permanent structure on that lot.
So I'm just wondering, is normally in a trailer park, there's a landlord that owns all of the land. Is it normal that they sell their property to individuals?
So I can tell you from our experience at the COG, and we've done it. The only mobile home units that we've accepted into the grant were those units that where the owner owned the land as well. So I can't speak to you know, replacing homes on in a mobile home park.
And I understand that, but I told them I would ask.
Oh, for sure. No, I
just
mean,
to be
if the
sure to see if
opportunity's
there
out
were
there.
got anything, any ways around it or anything. So
I can also tell you that it is possible for the town to swap land with homeowners, like in the past, just due to the way homes are grandfathered into the current ordinance. Um, you know, once we demolish a home, there are a lot of homes that they don't comply with the you know, the current zoning, and so once we demolish it, in some towns it's not possible to place a modular unit on that same lot. And so in those cases, the town can swap land, you know, with the homeowner, and give them a more suitable lot to place a home. So that could be something to consider if land could be provided to that homeowner.
so then, let's say we could do that land swap, and if we were to say that we would give them property on the 53 acres.
Now that would be a timeline issue.
It's the time. So it has to be done by the reconstruction, or it has to be done by what date again?
So the grant is a 30-month grant. And again, this timeline is moving a little quicker than it normally would. So whereas before, you know, we would submit in October, they send out an award letter around December, send out grant documents around March of the following year. And when those grant documents go out, that's when the clock would start. We've been told, again, they release the notice of funding availability on the 10th. Applications due November 1st. They're going to send out award letters November 14th, and then grant documents shortly after that. So our window isn't, you know, it's not as long as it would have been in a typical round.
Okay.
So just thinking out loud, so a citizens own the trailer in a trailer park. They don't own the property, but they are able to purchase property. Is that possible? That y'all put the new trailer on the new property?
You're saying they're able to purchase property when?
I'm sorry?
I'm just trying to clarify your point.
Currently, they're in a trailer park. They own the house, the trailer. They purchase property.
Outside of the trailer park.
Right.
Outside of the trailer park. Own the property. Is it possible that you all will put that trailer over there on the new property?
Okay, so don't hold me to this.
Okay.
So I'm going to.
Yes, we are. If you say what we want you to hear.
Okay, well, my answer isn't going to be definite. I'll say there is potential to make it work.
Okay.
There's more potential to make it work in that case.
Okay.
If they remain in the trailer park, then that won't be able to work.
Okay. Okay. Other questions?
So the most important thing, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, is owned and occupied.
Okay.
All submissions of applications, I think that will be a smoother transition. So if you could solicit from your wards, I think it'd be very important to let Kelsey and myself know so that we can move this process forward. We've already went into the next phase of compliance with the application and scheduling for a public hearing to take place on the 26th. At 6:00 p.m. And so we're just moving very aggressively behind the scenes to meet this very rigorous timeline that we've been presented with, because it's an excellent opportunity. We just need the citizens who are eligible to submit the applications.
So the 14 homes that are no longer eligible for elevations, are they eligible?
So that's what we're currently trying to research, because owned and occupied is the magical terms.
So again, owner occupied, and then low to moderate income. That's the second.
Well, I knew that.
Yeah, but for them to be on the elevation list, they had to be owner occupied, right?
It all depends. You know, it's been 6 years. Some of the dwellings are no longer occupied. You know.
Right. Okay. So we need to pass this resolution, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else want to read this resolution, the second one? Okay. Neighborhood revitalization. Sure. Get your microphone straight.
Okay. Town of Princeville resolution application for the 2022 CDBG neighborhood revitalization. Whereas the Board of Commissioners desires assistance in community development that will replace homes that are owned and occupied within the town of Princeville, Edgecombe County, and whereas the Board of Commissioners will honor the application process by holding a public hearing on October 26, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall, 201 South Main Street, concerning the application for the Community Development Grant funding to benefit Town of Princeville residents and to receive citizens' feedback. And whereas the Board of Commissioners wishes the Town of Princeville, Edgecombe County, to pursue a formal application for Community Development Block Grant funding to benefit Town of Princeville residents, and whereas the Board of Commissioners certifies it will meet all federal regulatory and statutory requirements of the state of North Carolina Community Development Block Grant Program, and whereas the Town of Princeville Planning Board will serve as the Housing Selection Committee during the Community Development Block Grant process. And now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Princeville Board of Commissioners authorize the submission of a formal application to the North Carolina Department of Commerce for approval of a community development block grant to benefit Princeville residents with the recovery process from Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Adopted this on October 17, 2022 in Princeville, Edgecombe County, North Carolina.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that the board adopt the resolution.
The second.
Been probably moved and second that we adopt the resolution for application to the 2022 CDBG neighborhood revitalization. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Anything else for CDBG? Okay. Let's see, next item on the agenda, we have the attorney's report, dumping ordinance update.
Yes, Mark Edwards here, subbing for Ryan. He's at another municipality tonight. I think you have in the packet the proposed ordinance, and the item that Ryan gave me was for the closed session. And I don't know on this if this is just for your review and comment. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer your comment. But that's in your packet.
Okay. Any questions for the attorney?
Are you referring to the abatement?
I believe that's, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Do you recall if I asked a question in the email about
Excuse me?
this? Do you recall if I asked a question
You
about
didn't.
it? I didn't. Okay. Anybody have questions? Okay. No questions? Very good. Next item on the agenda.
Can I ask a question not related to that, to the attorney? The last time that Attorney King was here, we talked with him regarding a letter to the songwriter of our anthem. Did he mention anything to you about that?
No, but if you want to update on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I did speak with her, and she's waiting to hear back from him again.
A letter from him to her.
The letter should be from
Okay.
her. He spoke with her, giving the town of Princeville permission to have scores written for the anthem. And I think maybe there was some clarification that was needed.
Yeah. And I think Attorney King also mentioned that he wanted to do some consultation and some due diligence around the matter.
Okay. But I'll make sure that he gets with the town manager with an update.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Other questions for the attorney? Okay. Old business, deputy waiver.
And so, Attorney Edwards, I'll provide an update if it's okay with you. So we were able to give the deputy the waiver, and we did get the sheriff to sign it from Northampton County. And so now we need the signature from the deputy himself for his personal vehicle.
Okay. Questions? Okay. New business, ECU Innovative Hub.
And so, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, Kelsey and I had the privilege of going over to East Carolina University to visit and get a tour of the Easley Innovation Hub. And we were quite impressed with this 15,000 square foot space for entrepreneurship, where students can go in with ideas and come out as entrepreneurs, go through the process of what that looks like to become an entrepreneur. Very, very nice facility. And so they have invited us to come in and host some youth and students from this community over to the Innovative Hub to kind of spotlight the location and to also provide some insight into what it would need to look like when they transition out of high school and perhaps can get a certification, not necessarily go through the whole degree program, but to actually receive a certification. And so I wanted to share this with you all because that's something that we will be planning for in the upcoming months.
Excellent. And Mr. Horn, I think y'all have something similar to this at the COG, right? In Wilson? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Next item, ECU November 5th Festival.
Yeah, so on November the 5th, there will be a Tar River Community Signs Festival in the town of Greenville on the town common. The mayor will be participating. I'm hoping all other board members will also participate on November the 5th from 11 to 4 p.m. The mobile museum will be on site during this festival, and so we look forward to it. And I will say that myself, Kelsey, and Commissioner Joyner will be just getting back in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we'll be flying out the 1st of November, really going into a community of Ironton, Louisiana, to talk about the recovery and building capacity and partnerships because they are an unincorporated area. Very interestingly, that municipality would not be incorporated this day and time, but nevertheless, FEMA is coordinating its services and spotlighting Princeville yet again to go in and do some peer engagement with the municipality over in Ironton, Louisiana. So we're hoping that it'll be just as productive as it was when we went out in partnership with Conservation Trust to talk about building capacity and recovery and what that looked like for the town of Princeville. And so we're really looking forward to this peer engagement with this community.
Excellent.
Of about 11,000.
11,000?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's large.
Yeah.
So we're doing some good things, people. Don't let people fool you.
Absolutely.
A lot of great things happening in the town of Princeville.
Absolutely.
And people noticing around the world. It's a good thing.
That's
Very
right.
good.
That's right.
Okay.
So on November 8th ballot, the citizens are not here, but I'll do a call and post and we'll post this around in the community. We do want the citizens to be aware that this is on the ballot for the mixed beverage election to permit the sale of mixed beverages in hotels, restaurants, private clubs, community theaters, and convention centers, and on and off premises, the sale of malt beverages and unfortified wine in qualified establishments. This will be very important with the direction that the town is going with expanding to the 53 acres and the 88 acres and just really doing the economic development and revitalization for downtown.
And what's big now in other areas of social districts.
Yes.
We may want to consider that for the 53 and 88.
Yeah.
Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. I sent you an email this afternoon about Pepsi Bottling Venture. They have an opportunity for us to apply for a grant, and I think they're going to do most of the legwork. But it's up to $75,000, and the only requirement that they have is that we'll be a part of the African American Mayors Association. I thought we were already, but I guess I let it expire.
Yeah,
and that cost is what, $500?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
What would the grant be used for?
Nutrition, access, affordability, and education. They're working very similar to what we're doing with NC Trust. That's why Mary Alice Holly sent it over to us. They've been working with us at the Princeville School, the walking trail, the farmers market, and they are instrumental in us developing those farmers market inside the town of Princeville. Those lots that we have that are vacant from the buyout.
So it can be used for the vegetation gardening, the garden.
Is that right?
Yes, and it steps it out here. Commissioner Murray, Nutrition Access, Affordability, and Educational Grant Program, the African American Mayors Association, and the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthier American with the Disparities in Nutrition and Bridging the Gap with Affordability and Education. So it would really be beneficial to the direction that we're trying to go with the farmers market, and also, as you mentioned, Commissioner Murray, the open space that we have and transitioning that into some community garden. So this right here would be an absolute bonus if the town is awarded these funds.
I didn't get a copy of that. May I have a copy of that?
No, I didn't either.
Thank you. I did not.
Oh, that's what it is. I kept them all.
That explains it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're looking at all 6 of them.
I thought it looked mighty familiar.
I'll say the same thing.
Mighty thick.
Sorry about that.
I'm just looking, you know, like,
I make a motion that we partner with the Pepsi bottle venture.
Let me look at it for a minute.
Okay.
And as Commissioner Mark is looking, I want to bring your attention to the one grant that's worth $200,000 with a population of less than 250,000, and then the second grant is $125,000, and the last one is $75,000, greater than $100,000.
And you got to apply by when? Deadline? Did I miss something?
I think, was it November 1st?
No, I think it's the first of the year because you have a meeting that's scheduled with them at the end of this month. So I would have to trust but verify the timeline.
Okay.
Is that got to be voted on?
You had enough time to view it?
Let me look at one last piece.
And welcome,
So,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So how would the participant become eligible for this funding?
We would just need to, the town would need to submit an application. And as I'm looking at this in the last sentence in the first paragraph, the first round of grants will be awarded in 2023 at the annual conference. So if that's the case, then Mayor, you are correct. It would have to be this year of submission in order for that announcement or award to be made in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So Commissioner Marr, just completing the application process as we've done with all other grants, and the mayor and I are supposed to have a coordinated meeting with the representative to ensure that we meet the criteria by which it's clear that we do, and what that process would need to look like for submission.
Okay.
And bring your attention also, each program should address, at least on the second page, last paragraph, each program should address at least one, but not limited to the following: a lack of access to affordable nutritional foods and food deserts, lack of access to a quality nutrition program, education and lack of access to vital resources to help families make healthier decisions, and lack of access to affordable basic nutritional needs. And what we can absolutely use to submit with this application is our NC Growth marketing analysis, by which they confirmed all of the areas noted above.
So it would be considered a partnership, I take.
With the Pepsi company, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as the mayor mentioned, they will do the heavy lifting. They just see an opportunity for this to that for Princeville to benefit from this grant.
And to be able to collaborate with other ones that already have programs in place.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Good. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we partner with the Pepsi Bottle Venture.
A second.
Been probably moved and second that we partner with the Pepsi Bottling Venture. Are there questions?
No question, but you said we also have to be members, so do that have to be also specified?
Not as long as we are
just go ahead on and make necessary.
Okay. Okay. All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Now we move to board comments.
Dr. Knight, what is the possibility, the young man that came up, Edward Morgan, what would be the possibility of you contacting him and letting him know the proper procedures for becoming a contractor for the town of Princeville?
Okay. Did he leave his contact information on the sign-in form, the public comment? I can do that.
Okay.
I would have to have his information.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been thinking of a 5-star restaurant for the town of Princeville.
Sound good.
On the 53 acres. And what I would like to do is invite all of our food truck vendors to come in and meet with us and talk about the idea and see if they're interested. And what I was thinking, we were talking about building the shell building, build a shell building and allow them to utilize that facility for the 5-star restaurant. And we all benefit by them not having to pay any rent. We'll pay for that. How many vendors participate, all the profit will be divided equally to include the town of Princeville, if that's legal, to include the town of Princeville for the building and for reinvesting in the business. That's an idea. What y'all think?
So if I understand you, you're saying that they will not have to pay any rent for how long?
That's something we can discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I don't.
Well, they don't have to pay any rent, but whatever the profit is, a part of that comes back for the building rent. Does that make sense? For example, if 10 people,
As long as we say what percentage of it.
right? If we have 10 vendors that are interested, well, let's say 8, and then the town, and then the business itself. So if we make $100 divided by 10, every entity get $10 of the profit.
Talking about a co-op.
Yeah, basically.
So it wouldn't be offered to franchisers.
Not this venture, just the contractors, the vendors that we're already dealing with now that come out to the farmers market, the food trucks.
Do you know of any town or source that have already implemented that?
I do not. Yes. You do?
There is a food hub now. I don't know if it's in Selma.
Okay.
Somewhere they're doing something similar to that. They're called food hubs, and they're shoving however many folks they can get in the building together, so you create like a market space for all types of good food vendors.
Wow.
And there are examples in North Carolina.
But are they?
Go ahead.
But are they all exempt from rental space?
I'm sure they purchase. They have some kind of thing, kind of like what the Rocky Mountain Mills is doing. I'm sure those folks.
Okay. Okay.
How long have they been doing or started this?
The new one, whether it's in Selma or where the pottery is, it's in that vicinity. It just started going.
Just started.
Yeah.
Is there any way you could probably make contact? Because I think that would be something to get more feedback and some legal ramification on as well, attorney, so that we make sure that we are in good, standards, stepping in the right direction.
Yeah.
And especially as long as we clearly define what constitutes a 5-star restaurant. And I mean, it sounds like a very good idea. I guess we just have to really make sure we get the buy-in from the owners, and just to see if it's for the benefit to them to go into business with another, could be a competitor.
Right.
So we will clear all of that up when we discuss it with them.
And then even not option two is if they don't, maybe we can get somebody afar off that would want to invest in that as their own, as a 5-star restaurant owner.
Sounds good.
And Mayor, when you're doing that, mandated that it be multicultural. That way you get a chance to mix the pond.
Yeah.
Every culture can bring their own.
That's a good idea.
Cuisine.
Yeah.
And expose us to something different besides the blood pressure.
So can I go ahead and set that meeting up?
I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll get with them and set up a date and let everybody know, and we'll try to come up with a great time.
Okay.
Thank you. A couple other things that I have. Of course, we are a member of the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. And tomorrow, if approved by the board, they're going to apply for a BRIC grant on behalf of Edgecombe County for stormwater flow rehab, cleaning of ditches in Coneta, Michaelsfield, Pine Tops, Princeville, Speed, and South Rocky Mount to the tune of $5 million.
Wow.
So we may have the ditches cleaned for us if it's approved by the board tomorrow. Yes, sir. Sure.
So we actually heard back from FEMA, DES today, and we made it past that first round of
Great.
review. So we're currently setting up a meeting to submit a full application for that great grant.
Excellent. Excellent. More good news, folks. Okay.
Also, on that same note, Mayor, I think it's been well prolonged, well delayed. It's time for the Edgecombe County to be accountable, as I stated in last month's meeting, for us to get some feedback when they're going to start, as it was told to us 3 months ago, that they were going to start on the storm drain project, and we have not heard anything, no update from them whatsoever. Have they give you any information?
Yeah. So at the retreat, they are still under a very similar situation as the town of Princeville with their audits, and so that funding source came through the USDA, and so LGC would have to approve the county moving forward with that grant, and so until that happens, they're at a standstill.
So even though their audit was completed and the money was approved for Princeville, they are still at a standstill.
Yeah, because they are the administrators over the fund. So until they're able to move beyond their auditing circumstances, then it will just have to be on hold. But the money was obligated. LGC would have to grant that approval for the county to move forward. And I don't want to speak too far into their situation, but per the retreat, that was the report given by the county manager, and that circumstance has not changed as of their last meeting.
Yeah, I understand what he said during the retreat, but I understood after the audit there would be some groundbreaking, some work done. Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
You said their audit is not completed. Just
they're still in the process of completing, getting all of theirs up to date.
Okay.
Okay, there's a meeting at the convention center in Greenville. The COG is going to be there, Turning Point Workforce Development Board, the Institute for Emerging Issues, and North Carolina State University, and My Future North Carolina on October the 25th from 10 to noon. And the purpose is to create future opportunities for collaboration among local leaders to increase the educational attainment in our communities, to improve our workforce, to enhance recruitment. The governor and the General Assembly in 2019, the goal was to have 2 million adults with high-quality post-secondary degrees or credentials by 2030. The work must be locally owned and driven. Never again should we be thought of as the poorest of the poor? Y'all remember when Governor McCrory came down after the flood and said, "This is the poorest of the poor." We shouldn't let that happen again, because we have the ability now to change that perception of who we are. Scotland Neck, they received a CDBG NR grant for $664,700 for housing rehab. Seaboard received $840,000 for housing rehab and drainage. Whitaker's received $750,000 for CBD GR NR for housing. Lucama, $747,000 and $747,750 for housing. Saratoga, $593,000 for housing. The Rural Transformation Grant application, preserving a historic town-owned former store and converting it into a meeting place and museum. And I'm thinking about the Wooten House. This is in Saratoga, $593,000 coming from Rural Transformation Grant. The 5-year comprehensive plan that we just worked on, hopefully it will be approved tomorrow at the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government. It is called the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, which is a CEDS, C-E-D-S, and it goes for 5 years, 2023 through 2027. They talk about, I'm sorry, let me move. Did I bring that in? Yep. It won't be long. I won't be long, I promise.
Already 9 o'clock.
I know. I'll be done in a minute. They talked about the visions for the Northeast region. We are part of the Northeast region. Edgecombe, Northern, what is it? Northampton County, Halifax County, Nash County, and Wilson County. And they came with a lot of people from these areas, including Kelsey, some other people from Princeville, and all the other counties. And these are the vision that they're proposing. Vision number 1 for social foundation. All residents of the Upper Coastal Plain region have the resources necessary to lead a healthy and prosperous life. How to get there? Initiative 1, seek the development of quality, affordable housing to meet current demands, compete for new residents, and improve the community wealth through the region. Initiative 2, create healthy and connected communities. Initiative 3, establish, maintain, and expand accessible public infrastructure. Vision number 2, education and advancement. The region bolsters its ability to train, develop, and foster its diverse and talented population. Initiative 1, improve access to quality and equitable dependent care services. That's one of the reasons that a lot of people are not working now, not getting an education now, because it's cost so much to take care of your children. Initiative 2, ensure residents and businesses across the region have the connectivity, knowledge, and tools necessary to fully participate in the digital world. That's why I'm so thankful for Ms. Tate taking the citizens over to Edgecombe Community College to take computer classes. If they can take computer classes, we can take computer classes that as needed. Initiative 3, develop, attract, and retain residents by providing them with the skills necessary to perform well in today's and tomorrow's jobs. And vision number 3, a thriving economy. Community wealth is generated throughout the Upper Coastal Plain. Initiative 1, improve the region's ability to foster a diverse, thriving economy. Initiative 2, define and promote the region's sense of place. And Initiative 3, build on the region's competitive advantage and leverage in the marketplace. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to interject something there
Sure.
too. Whether we know it or not, there are 5 million robots as I speak, waiting to go in action. And you know whose job they're going to be taking. They even have manager robots that will manage the peons. Yes, sir.
And they have robot doctors.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to one.
You got operated on one?
No, sir. No, sir.
And
Okay.
Mayor, I went to a workshop last week in Greensboro at NC Future. Education report card. It was pathetic,
Mm-hmm.
the outcome of it, and especially Edgecombe County, and the
And Black Edgecombe County.
Black Edgecombe County, in every category except in every category, Black Edgecombe County statistics were at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do about it?
Right.
Okay. Now, closing up, and I'll let you get back to it. Y'all be careful. There's a scam alert for Sam's registration and the Dunn's VIN number. Be careful when you go on to use those numbers because there's a scam out there.
About Sam Club or Sam?
Scam. Scam.
I know you said scam, but you got Sam right there.
That's the Sam registration number.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, we know there's a housing shortage in Eastern North Carolina, and I've been thinking about this ever since 1999 and the buyouts. And I put this out there. Can we rebuild but elevate while we're repairing the drainage, while we're repairing the floodgates, while we're repairing the levee, upgrading the levee? If we do all those things and elevate, then is there an issue with rebuilding on that property? I don't know it is now, but can we talk to somebody about changing that because of the housing shortage? And I know it's on our agenda tomorrow night at the Upper Coastal Plains, so we'll see about that.
Well, I understand that Rocky Mount, after several years, they did go back and build on some property that, my understanding, on they had right there by the store on the corner, and not Cokie Road, but gosh, can't think of the name of the street right now. Right there by that big Metropolitan Church. You familiar with it, Chief? Yeah, right down there. Correct. Yeah.
Weeks Armstrong. That was never. Yeah, that was never buyout.
That was it.
One of them that took the buyout. Mr. Deacon George Dickens said they went back and rebuilt on that property after several years. I don't know what they did to get that back. I'm just kind of like picking back on what you're saying. If that's the case,
and probably if they did, they had to get permission from the federal government.
Yeah.
That would be the process because as it stands right now, the Princeville should never ever rebuild any structures on any of the acquisitions once it's been demoed and the deed has been transferred over to the town. That's why they came up with the floodprint plan and through NC State and creative and innovative ways to occupy those spaces within the community.
And in closing, in the Rocky Mount Telegram, when you get a chance, look at the front page of Thursday, October the 6th. They're talking about what to do with their ARP funds. And they talked to two students, brother and sister, and also talked to Bishop Hayward Parker. And the children talked about youth. What are you going to do for the youth in the community? They talked about workshops used to gear children towards academic and life skills. They talked about, and my question was, I think the Boys and Girls Club does that already. They just have to be locked into them. But creative problem solving, they talked about critical thinking skills. They talked about education for local residents. And it's sad when children are talking about how their peers misbehave in the classroom to keep them from learning. And I see that every day. And parents, they come in and they support their child regardless. So as a society, we're going to have to address this issue about how we're going to appropriately educate each one of our children where they need to be in the schools. They need to be in the schools, but we have so many that are dropping out now, especially in Edgecombe County. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox. And I know it's time to go. But anybody else have any comments?
One last thing in regard to our 138th Founders Day. I think it always important that we commemorate and remember every person who served as an elected official in the town of Princeville. I think it's important that we always reach back as far as we can, even to our founding ancestors. And so I was thinking a way that we could do that to commemorate those former mayors, those former elected officials. But maybe we can take this wall over here and have I think he called it a kaleidoscope, a scalapy or something like that. But what it is, maybe in the very center of it, it may say something like Princeville elected officials. And then each one, we can kind of stagger the names of those former town mayors, the former commissioners. And I think we have enough wall space in here so that we can do that, because part of the 138th the part of the 138th Founders Day celebration, we were hoping that we could do tours through here so that would help to say this town was built by our former citizens, our former commissioners, our citizens. But to just do that to highlight them, I think it would be an awesome message to the community.
It's called collage.
Thank you.
And I'm thinking it should be in the museum instead of in here.
Okay.
I don't think we don't want to cover the walls in here. This is my opinion now. But in the museum, I think we have plenty of space to put everybody.
Commemorating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about this last year about recognizing the veterans from the town of Princeville. Do you ever put anything together? Because November is right around the corner. November 11th, what's 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away? Do we have time to put anything together, or we need to cable it to next time?
I mean, we could do a column post and solicit whoever the name of those veterans, and I think we can pull something together pretty quickly. We've gotten accustomed to doing that.
I think, make sure you call Bobby Jones.
Miss Doohead's initiated some contacts with the
free lunch
Pomeroy
somewhere.
Foundation, and they put out a red and orange marker, like the gray and black. And we were talking about, instead of being Princeville, who was Prince? We don't even know who the man was. At least his face should be somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably would build a statue or something.
Yeah,
it
something
might
like
be
that.
a depict the actual look of the person.
Okay. Any final closing comments before we go into executive session?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion to go into executive session, NCGS 143-318.11A16, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statute. NCGS 143-318.11A4, to discuss relating to the location or expansion of industries agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiation, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closure or realignment. Number 1, economic development. Number 2, personnel. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we go into executive session. Other questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. You too. Are we muted, Miss Jessica? Okay.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.